What's up, everybody? This is BakaBites. I'm Frankfurter. That's Magically Average. And today we are going to talk about our first impressions of the fall 2024 anime season, not 2025. We're not there yet. Winter 2025 starts next season. But we are here again to talk about fall, winter 2024. We got a lot to talk about. You said you had what?
It's fine.
You're,
We'll just
you're,
move
you're,
along. No, you
okay.
said you said fall winter 2025.
I'm
It's okay.
fall 2024. We were talking about fall
There we go.
2024.
There we
Okay.
go. You
We made it.
got it. You
We
did
do have a
it.
lot to talk about. I've had a lot on my mind, and we're gonna just jump into it. We're gonna kind of do this as our semi like seasonal review, except more so just talk about what we're just start from the bottom, go to the top. So, starting at the bottom, or just in general, how many shows did you get through so far?
8.
Eight.
8 shows.
You've gotten through eight at least episode ones.
Yes.
If not a episode 2 for Dan to Dan, I assume. But as for me, I've gotten through 15 episode 1s minimum, and then I've gotten through a decent amount, just being caught up. So let's just hop straight into it. Bottom of the barrel for me, and just shows that I'm not going to continue.
Yeah.
I didn't even get through all of episode 1, but Story of a Girl That Was Unable to Become a Mage. It's not that it's a bad show. I really just had this on my list of for like a one episode try just to see the art style, and the art style is absolutely incredible. It's gorgeous. However, it is very much like a kid show.
Mm.
It is intended for children. So it just was one of those things that I was not able to get through episode 1, but I do
Yeah.
absolutely
Too
think that
too
it
highbrow
is
for you.
pushing. Yes, it's too so highbrow for me. But no, I think that it's pushing the art style and way you can adapt something forward, because it is absolutely gorgeous. It's in the style of watercolor, so I think in that regard it is absolutely phenomenal. But again, it wasn't my type of show, so I dropped it. Another show that I just actually watched tonight. I watched episode 1. Not going to continue with episode 2 is Sumasho, which is that show. It was the story that the
Oh god.
dad
Not that
the
one.
dad and the daughter, yeah, they lose their mom and wife, and the wife is reincarnated as a child, and 10 years later comes back to visit them and not necessarily rejoin the family, but announce their presence, that they're still around. It's not that it was bad. It was pretty darn wholesome, but
Mm.
like I'm not going to continue that one.
Mm.
It's fine. It's
Mm.
not great.
Mm.
Yeah, and then the last one that I'm probably going to drop pretty just right off the bat after episode 1 is Trillion Game.
Oh.
I watched episode 1. It's just not for me. It's not my thing.
That's fair.
I do like the fact that it is like the art style is very reminiscent of like a JoJo's Bizarre
Oh, ja.
Adventure. A JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I do like the art style in that sense, but for me, the meat and potatoes of the show just didn't interest me at all.
We had a
Um,
we had an opportunity to do an early review
yes,
of
you did an early review of Volume 1.
yeah. It was good. I liked it. It's a more laid back comedic take on, I guess you could consider to be like a high stakes game. Um
Kinda.
it just it's got the fundamentals of what you could imagine it transitioning into. Whether or not it's good as a death game, high stakes game, whatever you want to call it. Obviously there's no death involved in it, but like the the aspects are there and they could build upon it as it went on. It volume 1 didn't get into a lot like beyond just the backstories of the characters, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It didn't give me JoJo's vibes from the art. It gave me like old 90s manga.
Really?
Yeah, the art style is like very kind of like it reaches back into the good old days of like the late 80s, early 90s style of manga, where it's like you don't go from the like moving away from like the Urusei Yatsura Ranma type, where it's more not chibi, but kind of like, you know, more cartoony, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
more on the realistic side. so everything's very like sharp, very edgy, very detailed. Uh,
Okay, I see what you're getting at then.
yeah, yeah.
Fair
It's
enough.
like there's another anime this season that's very much in that same style. The Yakuza Bride, I want to
Yakuza
say.
Fiance, yeah,
Yeah.
that's on my list. That one's a bit more towards the middle, but I mean, I can get into that right
Well,
now.
I was just making a comparison to the art, but that is one. I mean, I want
Fair
to
enough.
start watching that one because it does seem fun. The first, like I
Yeah,
said, the volume one kind of ends on like a weird point where it's like,
for
um,
Trillion game.
yeah, it's like a mini
Hmm.
tournament arc, I guess.
Oh boy.
Like tiny, tiny. Like I imagine it would only be maybe an episode and a half in the
Okay,
anime. So, but it was good.
fair enough.
It's on my list.
The next one that's kind of like towards the bottom, but it's just like I might give it one more episode if I have the time. I doubt I will, but Negative Positive Angler. I
Oh,
watched
that's on my
episode
list too.
one. I watched episode one. I enjoyed episode one, but it's one of those shows that I didn't enjoy it enough that, like, with this jam packed season, that I'm like, I would
Well,
devote the time to watch it all.
when you watch the fucking wife turned into kid anime, then yeah, you don't have enough time, you weirdo.
Well, I just said I'm dropping that one, but this one is
Yeah,
like
but
one of
you
those things
watched it
like
to
I
begin
want.
with, is what I'm
Yes, I know,
saying.
because I wanted to give my opinion on it, but at the same time, just like this is one of those shows that if this season wasn't as packed, I probably would watch the entirety of it. But because it is, I'll probably watch another episode or two. This initially was Negative Positive Angler, that is. It was initially on my one episode try, so I won't feel as bad if I do end up dropping it. But I will say, like, it was a fun episode one. The characters they introduced were all unique and fun. Like, it was just because it was like an amalgamation type of crew. Just like everybody was so different, different backgrounds, and they can all bond over one thing. So it was great.
Yeah.
And just the polar contrast to the CGI fish was just hilarious in my opinion.
Okay.
Which I know
Okay.
you have to do what you have to do, but at the same time, like, is it the worst CGI I've ever seen? No, it's not. But it's still just like it is very polarizing compared to the rest of it. But I enjoyed the show.
I
Like I want to continue it, but I feel like this is just one of those shows that is going to be in the back of my mind all season, that it's just like I really should catch up on it and just don't.
yeah. It I feel so because this is on my list too. This is my 3 episode. I really don't have many in the one because I think I mentioned it when we did our preview, but there's too many to what you were saying at the beginning. There's too many anime this season
Yeah.
that are quality watches to the point where it's like, all right, you have to start bucketing them into, are you gonna watch it or are you probably just gonna like give it a good college try? There's no I'll just dip my toe in the water. You're either fucking all in or you do the quick jump in and the quick jump out. Like there's no like just I'm just gonna give it a little feel. So,
Yeah.
but that one's on my 3. I think it's primarily because looking at the whole list, and we're going to get into more, obviously, but looking at the entire season lineup, Negative Positive Angler seemed like the perfect breach away from all of the hard hitting anime that are out. Like your like Bleach, ReZero, Dan to Dan, um,
Dragon Ball,
Danmachi,
Daima.
Dragon Ball. Yeah, like there's a lot of just high powered, high octane anime, like new anime seasons that are out where I feel like this is a complete departure from that. And it's a very relaxing time, we'll say. It is a step away from high intensity, blood pumping anime into more relaxed and tranquil, which I feel like I'm going to enjoy. And then also the aspect of fishing, because I grew up fishing all the time um, during the summer with my dad. So that'll be a nice little flashback to the good old days of being a
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
But yeah, it's on my list. I'm enjoying it. Sorry, it's on my list. I should be enjoying it given the premise behind it. So I'm excited to start watching it.
Fair enough. Just a quick couple, like two more quick hits. One that I watched episode one and we talked about it last week. Blue Lock season two. This one
Yes.
is just one of those things that, like, something has to be very good to in order to hold my attention, let alone just like me continue week over week.
Yeah.
If a show is going to be as poorly animated as it is, I'm going to wait for the entirety of it to come out, have the dub come out,
Yeah.
and then I can watch it during work because this type of show I feel like doesn't need to command all my attention. The animation this season has drastically dropped.
Yeah.
And I watched the rest of episode 1 and it did not get any better.
No.
And I've only heard that it gets worse.
Yeah.
So for me, Blue Lock season 2, this one wasn't even on my list of things when we were going over the season of shows we were going to watch. I just added this to the 3 episode watch like when I finished season 1
Yeah.
because I was legitimately excited. I was like, okay, the show was good. There were, I have fundamental problems with it and the fact that it's like it's a monologue show where they're always talking inside their own heads and I just don't have the patience for
Yeah.
that anymore.
It's Death
But
Note soccer edition.
yeah, it really is. And so it was just one of those things that when episode 1 came out and it was that bad and people have been saying it's even worse. Not necessarily in context to content in which the story is bad, it's just the animation's so bad that it's just like, cool, I can just wait until it's fully out, dubbed, and I can just watch it then. So
Yeah.
Blue Lock is also on my drop list for those reasons alone. And then the last one that I'll probably end up dropping, even though I am enjoying it, is The Most Notorious Talker Runs the World's Greatest Clan. Now, I know we talked, this was on my 1 episode try. You were like, you're an idiot for trying to watch this show. It looks stupid, yada, yada, yada. And
Sounds
you're
about
right.
right. Yeah.
It's not that great, but
Called it.
it's one of those things that I've been entertained a lot more so than I ever thought I would be by it. That I was just like, I could give it another go. I could
Yeah.
keep watching it. This is one of the 2 shows that I think I have not watched the newest episode, which just came out like yesterday or today. But I've watched the first 3 episodes and I've enjoyed it. By the way, spoilers. Episode 3 is when we got the girl that was on the cover poster that we were like, that's why we'll
Oh.
watch this show.
Yeah, no. I gotta wait. I gotta wait 2 episodes of garbage
It honestly wasn't
to
that
get
bad.
to get
It was a
under
lot
boob.
more. Yeah, I know. It was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. And fun is even not even a good word for it because it's not like it's a comedy of any sort. It is. They do try to take it seriously, but at the same time, it's just one of those things that they take it too seriously to the point where it seems comedic, in my opinion. Um, so eventually I'll probably drop it, but that to me has been kind of a surprise. But it's
Hmm.
still towards like I guess at this point in the middle of the pack, towards the bottom.
Hmm.
But with that,
I wish I was as simple as you. Just enjoy
dude, the
dumb
simple brain
things.
is great. It's great, man.
It
Sometimes you
must be
just turn it off.
it
You just turn it off,
has
and you're like, ah, yes.
it has its perks. I'm starting to understand that. It has its perks.
Mm-hmm. But with that, you still have 6 shows to talk about. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more to talk about. So do you want to continue? You want me to continue, or do you want to hop in here with your first show? That's at the
I
bottom of your barrel.
I can go into mine.
Okay,
Yeah, because
let's have
again,
at it. What do you got for us?
well, none of them are ones. So I have a number of shows that I have not started yet that I am going to, just have not had the time.
I have that list pulled up too. It's still long. It's like
It-
nine shows I've yet to start.
Mine not as long. Mine are A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School, Blue Miburo, and You Are Miss Servant. Those are the like 3 other ones that I'm planning on watching. And then we
I
already
don't
talked
know
about
the
Chilean
second one.
Game.
I
Huh?
don't know that second one. What was that second one?
Blue Miburo. It's like a historical samurai one.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
we looked at it, but
We
I think they updated the description or changed something. I don't know. It looks different.
Oh.
There's only 1 episode out now. It also started later.
Okay.
So
Yeah. The only one that was on your list that I haven't started as well is You Are Miss Servant.
yeah. And then I'm obviously going to be watching 365 Days and then Negative Positive Angler and Trillion Game, like I already said. But
Fair
in
enough.
terms of the ones that I've watched so far, and ReZero season 3. I'm refreshing myself on season 2 before I start season 3 because I know it's
Yeah.
gonna come back with a bang. So I'm like,
I haven't watched season 3 yet, but
I
that's more so because it's an hour and a half essentially to watch the first
well,
episode, and
it,
I just haven't gotten around to it.
and I think season 3 is something like 42 episodes or something stupid.
It might be just a 2 core. I can look it up.
It's something crazy. I think
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long season, so I'm like, I can play it slow.
16
Um,
episodes.
Bad, way off. That doesn't sound right.
According to Mal, 16 episodes.
Okay, I was definitely led astray by comments online. Anyway, um, wouldn't be the first
Never
time, won't
believe
be the
everything
last.
you read online.
No, I know. Um, but in terms of the ones that I've watched, and these are all ones I'm going to be continuing at least through 3 episodes, but in all likelihood, I'm probably just going to watch all the way through. But lower tier Magular Mirror Magical Girls Inc. was probably like the least impressive first episode, and it was one that I was pretty excited about going in because I have the first 2 volumes. I'm slowly reading them, very slowly, like a page a day,
Yeah.
we'll say. Uh,
So you haven't started yet.
no, yeah, I've read through the first chapter,
Okay.
and it's good. Yeah, like I enjoy it. I like the concept too. I like the establishment of a magical girls industry and kind of going into the management and capitalistic side of it on how you like maintain a society of magical girls. Basically, I think I made the comment during our preview episode, but it's basically My Hero, but for magical girls only.
Right.
Right, like rather than having a hero society where you have all the hero agencies and stuff, or you can even think about it from like solo leveling with all the adventures and stuff, all the adventure guilds. Instead, it's just magical girls, but then the focus is on this one woman who's trying to find a job and ends up kind of falling into a position in the magical girl industry, and then all the chaos ensues from there. But in terms of a first episode, it was fairly lackluster, I thought. Um, Scenes where they were fighting, very, very nice and appealing. Scenes where things were just kind of happening, less desirable. And it was unfortunate too, because during those scenes, you almost were like tempted to look away. You're just like, this is not holding my interest. This is kind of like, eh. But going through, it's the first episode. They're establishing some of the characteristics of the different characters. Like the main girl has a crazy memory and can like memorize things as simply as can be.
Yeah.
Like even hearing, like having inner thoughts going through like what happened throughout the day. Subconsciously, she can hear the orders of 3 different individuals at a Utabucks, I think they're calling it in the anime.
Oh god.
All the
Yeah.
different variations of the super chain that we all
Starbucks.
know. Yeah.
Starbucks, not
Um,
Starbucks.
yeah. And she like repeats back the 3 orders and they're like, whoa. And then like in job
Oh, you want
interviews.
a job? It's like,
Well, no, she
no.
doesn't say that. But but then like in job, she like memorizes all these notes about the companies and stuff. So she's got this like really impressive memory. And
Yeah.
that's her, I guess, in terms of like getting involved with the magical girls. So there are like scenes like that where you're like, okay, I understand it's slow, but it's meant to like provide more backstory and building sort of the foundation of this character and who they are. Got it. Okay. But again, it wasn't superb in any way. I gave it
Right.
like a 7 out of 10 for a first episode. Mind you, my
That's
rankings
still
are like,
pretty high.
well, okay, sorry. I don't go off of like Mal or live chart stuff, right?
Okay.
Like my ranking is like if I give something, I give it like a 7 in the sense of like it's a C. So
Okay.
like if we're ranking it like live chart or Mal, it'd be like a 5, I guess. Like,
Okay, then yeah, that would be a lot lower.
right, that's what I mean. But like
So
it was just
yeah,
kind of it was just average. It was just eh.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum here for this one.
Wow.
I went into this with kind of middling expectations. Like I know that it's a bigger series. I see it all the time on Manga Plus. It's like new chapter. And I'm like, I'll get around to it one day. And to me, this was one of those things that I watched episode 1 and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I even thought it kind of reminded me when I say this example, do not take it in the sense that I know you're gonna take it in a different direction.
Oh
Let me
boy.
explain myself.
Oh
This is
boy,
a
here
hear
we
me out
go.
moment. This reminds me of a Danmachi. And not in the sense of just like there's fan service, there's girls and boobs and bullshit like that. That episode 1 is very methodically slow. Like if you go back to watch episode 1 of Danmachi or Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, There's some action, but there's also very, like, it's very slow, it's methodical, it's very calculated. It's building its world, it's building its main characters very, like, slowly, but it does introduce you to the basics very early on.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that sense of direction for this first episode, and I still need to watch episode 2. Um, Damn you fucking Amazon for having ads now unless you pay $4 a month,
Ugh.
or whatever it is. But yeah, to my not chagrin, but to my liking, I enjoyed the slowness of it. I enjoyed kind of it just being a little bit more methodical and giving us a sense of what the action will look like in the future and kind of what the dangers they'll face.
Yeah.
So to me, this was a really impressive episode one. Like if I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 7.5 in the sense of just like I really enjoyed it. It's not anything outstanding. It's not gonna be a 9 out of 10 show or heck even maybe even an 8, but it definitely got me out there and I bought the first I had the first 2 volumes. I bought the second or the 2 following that, so I have the first 4. So it's just a matter of reading it. But I enjoyed this show a lot more than I thought I would, and I'm putting this from my 3 episode after just episode 1, I'm putting this from my 3 episode to my full watch list
Yeah.
for the season.
Again, this is in my full watch list. I'm still excited
Right.
about it. I think the the slowness though I don't think was as necessary like to use your example as it was in Don Machi because they established really early on there's magical girls, there's these things called Kai, that's about it. That's all you need to really know, right? For backstory, it kind of exists in what is you could categorize as like present day or like relatively near our time period versus Don Machi is like in a whole other setting, a whole new environment, a
Right.
whole
It's a
different.
fantasy.
Right. So there's more building there. So I guess for episode one, I wish they would have maybe pushed along the plot a little bit further into just like, hey, this girl at the very end gets introduced into what is considered to be like magical girls company, like a magical girl company. I wish that would have
Right.
progressed a little bit faster since very like the first 3 minutes they go, here's your world, here's what inhabits it, here's what's going on. Tune in to find out. And the tune in to find out was like 18 minutes of just build up, I guess. So that's again my only complaint. That's why I
Yeah.
gave it a 7. Again, my rankings are completely different than all the other sites. I know like a 7 point, a 7 is still pretty good. Mine is
Yeah.
just like you give it like a C. Think of it as grading in school. I gave it a C.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I would agree to disagree on this one, but it's fine. We'll just move on. Um let me move on to one of my other lower tier, but like one of those things that it's like I want to watch one more episode just to be sure. Let This Grieving Soul Retire. That was one that I put on my 1 episode try. I've watched the first 2 or 3 or however many are out.
Good
This one
God.
has been a lot of fun. This one is pure comedy in the sense that it's an action comedy, and I've been enjoying it. It's again, turn your fucking brain off to watch this one because it's not the smartest show out there. You don't need to have the big brain in order to figure out what's going to happen next. But it's fun in the sense that this guy knows he's not very good at being an adventurer. He tried to get out, and all of his friends who were the top of the tier, like 1% cream of the crop, who like are like we are the best adventurers out there. They're like, no, you can stay around. Like we're not gonna let you go. You don't have to go on adventures with us, but like you're going to lead our guild. You can do all the paperwork bullshit for us. And they like still drag him along. Everybody thinks he's like this wonderful, like amazing person who's super strong, but really he's just using relics to get by and everything else. And it's funny. It's a dumb turn your brain off show that I'm really enjoying. And I feel like that is going to be my show of the season of just turn your brain off and just enjoy the stupidness of it.
You and I have very different takes on anime that give us some reprieve from
Yeah.
the high intensity ones. You
But
go into stupid land where you enjoy nonsensical bullshittery that has really no substance to it other than just being dumb.
yeah.
I go into things that are wholesome, lighthearted, and have some actual character to them.
See, but
Do
that's the
you
thing.
see the difference? Do
I
you?
do like those shows, but I want to pay attention and just be connected to those characters
So
to the point
okay,
where it's just like
I
I
need
can
to.
really enjoy them. But there are the shows that I want to watch that I'm just
We
like, let me shut everything that's going on behind these eyeballs down
look.
and just enjoy the ooga booga-ness.
I visited you this past week and got to take a peek into what it's like when Frank works. Let me tell you, folks, nothing much. Zero fucking brainwaves happening up here when this guy hits to the computer.
Because I have to fucking focus all goddamn
Also,
day. I am
also,
stuck with so many issues.
I like we operate so differently. This you would come out and you're like, all right, I'm a lunch break, and you just pop on and watch an episode or two of anime. Meanwhile, my dumbass is stuck in the like capital cog, and it's just like I gotta eat and work at the same time. I got room for stuff. You also watch
And
anime, well, watch quote unquote anime.
here's the difference between you and I. I'm hourly, you are salary. I have to take a lunch break.
Whatever. The semantics. The other thing too is you watch anime while you work. Like, granted, it's you quote unquote like watch it. You're not like actively.
I listen, watch it, yeah.
Yeah, I just like my brain does not let me do that. My like
That's the
I could
that's
not.
the perk of ADHD.
Yeah, you have. We called it. We already called it what it is. You have simple brain. You have simple
Mhm.
brain. That's all.
Yeah. But yeah, no, let this grieving soul retire. Like by all means, it's a 5.5 out of 10. It's not a good, like, great show. This is definitely
Yikes.
glaze over the eyes, everything behind it, turn it off, and just enjoy the stupidity. It's not great, but it's fun. And that's all that I care about. Um, I would say that the rest of the shows remaining on my list, they're all gonna be I'm gonna watch them to for the entirety of the season, except with maybe one of them, and that is the Yakuza Fiance.
Oh.
I'm gonna give this one more episode because I'm still on the fence about it. So, in my opinion, I think that the art style is very different, which I enjoy.
Hmm.
There's sometimes where I'm just like put off by it, and other times where I'm like, yes, this works. This art style, you had said that this reminds you more of the Trillion game than anything else. To me, this show kind of reminds me more of shit. I gotta turn around to look.
Like Rosario
It,
Vampire or something like that.
no, no. Oh God, where is it? What the
Kami-sama
fuck?
Kiss.
No, it's the Netflix show that's the rom-com. It got like a season and that was it because there's only 5 books to it. Why can I not find it on my shelf? No! Regardless, it's the Netflix show. I'm gonna look it up while I'm talking. Um,
Oh yeah, no, I know that one. The Netflix show.
the Netflix show
Descriptive.
is the rom-com Netflix show that came out, had one season, everybody romantic killer. I found it. It reminds me the art
What?
style reminds me of Romantic Killer where it's kind of blocky-ish.
Are you
Um,
deaf?
no, I'm not.
That those art styles are completely different. Are you psychotic?
No.
I'm naming things that are like directly like just one-to-one comparisons, like Rosario Vampire comic, like all the anime, all the manga that has that style from like again like the mid 90s ish. That's exactly what the Yakuza Fiance anime is. Like it's that style. I think it's unique because it brings it back.
Regardless, art style
Romantic
aside,
killer. What the fuck? It's like
dude,
that's
go back and rewatch Romantic Killer and you'll understand.
I've watched it. I've seen clips. They're nothing alike. Nothing.
I am to agree to disagree.
You
But
see
anyways,
you see shapes and colors, my friend. I guess that's all that matters. Shapes and colors.
this simple brain. Anyways, no, I've been so on the fence about this show. Like there are things that I really like about it, and then there are fundamental things that I just scratch my head like, what's going on? And again, this comes down to when I'm watching like a slice of life or like a romance type of show. It's like I want to be invested in these characters. There has to be a good hook. This
Yeah.
has the hook, but the characters are so weird, and not in the sense of just like, oh my god, they're weird. I don't like them.
They're
They're
so
just
weird.
they're not the awkward kid that they're that type of weird. It's the sense of episode 1, girl gets shipped off to Tokyo to meet her potential future fiance that's an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
She ends up not liking him and he's like,
Shocker.
"Oh, like I'm just going along with this." And then by the end of episode 1, he's like, "Yeah, you're boring. I don't like you. Whatever." And then she goes off and sells her kidney and is like, "Yeah, no, you're keeping me around for the year." And he falls in love with her. And then episode 2, she's back to kind of being this like regular normal person that he did not like to begin with. And it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Like
It's
she hasn't
too complex for
fundamentally
simple
changed.
brain.
No, she hasn't fundamentally changed. She just did one thing to win him over, and then she went back to being the same person that he already hated, but yet now he's smitten with her all over again.
Yeah,
And I'm just
because that's all
trying
it
to figure.
takes. Duh.
That makes no fucking sense. It's just again, I'm giving it one more episode because it baffles me and just confuses the ever living hell out of me that she goes and does one thing, makes him smitten, and then goes back to being the same old person.
I yeah. That like the Yakuza stuff is in my mind always like super hit or miss. Like the only thing of recent that's come out that I really enjoy that's Yakuza based and it's super light Yakuza based is the babysitting guide.
Babysitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. That
Yeah.
was a great show. I
Yeah. But it's
absolutely
like
loved that.
it's like light. It's like the LaCroix of Yakuza where it's like
Yeah,
they are involved, but not in the sense of how you would imagine an anime about Yakuza to be. So
I'd
yeah, this
agree.
this one was never on my list. It's not an area that I find interesting in terms of like a romance or
Yeah,
slice of
I
life or
thought
anything like that.
I thought episode 1 was great. Episode 2 kind of lost me a bit, and we'll see if episode 3 kind of brings me back in or not. But the remainder of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows are like definitely at my top tier. I'm gonna watch. But before we get into those, let's talk about the shows that we haven't watched yet. You have kind of already gone over yours, I
I
believe.
I went
So
over all of mine.
okay, then let me go over mine that I have yet to watch. So Murai in Love was in one episode. Have yet to watch it. That's the show on Hulu. I think it's got about 5 episodes out right now, maybe 6. The other one is a high dive show, How I Attended an All Guys Mixer. It just looks like a fun comedy. I do want to see one episode of it and see how it goes. Next, Dragon Ball Daima. I know that it just started. I just haven't had the time to get around to watching it. I will end up watching at least one episode of it just to see how it is. One that I know is on your Orb on the Movements of Earth. I will be giving that 3 episodes. I will watch it. It's just a matter of time. We talked about ReZero. Have not started ReZero yet for obvious reasons. Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War. I was super tired when you came over this past weekend. I was super tired when we started watching it, and I fell asleep after the recap stuff.
Hmm.
Apparently, so there's that. Sword Art Online Gun Gale season 2. Haven't watched it yet. I will watch it. We'll get to it. And the last one, Uzumaki. Uzumaki, it's only 4 episodes. I know about all the controversies. I know we talked about it
Yeah.
last week. I still just want to watch it for myself and form my own opinion. So,
I don't. I know you're dropping some, but that was 8.
oh, and
8,
that didn't include the You Are Miss Servant that we talked about earlier.
9.
So 9. Yeah, it was 9 shows that I still have yet to get to. I know that I'm not going to be able to physically watch every single one of these,
I just
but I do want to watch some of them just to form my own opinion.
okay. All right.
So, but other than that, I've got 6 other shows that I have watched that I believe are top tier, but to get into it, just because it's a continuation, Shangri-La Frontier season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely loved season 1. Season 2 is just a continuation. It hasn't gotten to the point where the manga is yet. I'm hoping that they get to it this season and surpass it because where they're at, this whole show is a delight in general, and where they're at right now in the manga physically in the United States, I think it's also just a fun time. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this animated out because it's such a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
It again, it is an action show, but it is a lot of fun. And then the next one, it's not well, it is a continuation, I guess. I'll reserve the one I was going to talk about. Danmachi season 5. I've watched episode 1. I know there's 3 episodes out currently. This is one that is a no doubter for me that I'm going to watch all of it. This is one of my favorite series, just in general, just as a blanket statement. Episode 1 didn't disappoint. It set up the season to be juicy and good, and I can't wait. But I swear to God, if anything happens to these girls, it's gonna be hell to pay. Um, and yeah, so there's 4 more that I have on my list. You've got more on your list, so let me know what else are you watching that you've been enjoying?
Um, I mean, you already mentioned Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, Part 3. Episode
Yes.
1, half of it was a recap. The second half was that as someone who has not read up through Bleach, but as a kid read through, I think the first, like, I want to say maybe 12 to 15 volumes, and like, fell in love with it there, and then was watching it sporadically when it was airing on Toonami and stuff. Uh, this is one of my all-time faves and my favorite of the big three. Episode 1 of Part 3 was something that I don't think I could have ever predicted, and I don't know what's going to happen next. And it's been like that every single episode since its return for the Thousand Year Blood War. So it's never dropped down below like a 10 in my opinion. It's been high intensity every episode from start to finish throughout the Blood War. Like even the short period of time where Ichigo goes through his training, like even that was high intensity. There was still action stuff happening elsewhere. Like we talked about it when we were reviewing it. Like majority of the season, Ichigo wasn't even involved. Like, and it was still entertaining and still fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I gave episode 1 because I was being fair in my assessment of it. I gave episode 1 an 8.5 only from the standpoint that it did do a lot of recap, which you were like, wow, what is happening? I don't think I even
Yeah,
finished the remainder of Thousand Year Blood War Part 2, and I was like,
I did finish part 2, but I'm just like, "What the fuck is going
oh
on?"
yeah. I mean, like for
It's been a
me,
while, I guess, since I watched that season or part 2 that I'm just like, "Maybe I should just go watch the last
oh
few
no, it was
episodes."
still all up here because you're on the couch like, what the fuck is happening? And meanwhile, I'm like, oh yeah, this is when he calls him the fucking ant, and then he just fucking smashes him off, and this is where it ends, and it was great. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing. And then the rest of the episode, I was like, just on the edge of the couch, like
Yeah,
waiting for the next scene. Meanwhile, you're fucking passed out,
into
snoring
dreamland
away.
over there.
Yeah, La La World.
I was so tired.
Yeah. But I gave it an 8.5 just because there was a lot of recap, and like for the like basically half of the episode was just recapping where it ended. Which again, like I don't mind, I guess, since it's been a little bit, but it is just it takes away from the remainder of the episode that was superb. So
Yeah,
it's yeah, I have nothing but the highest of hopes for this season, and I'm sure it won't disappoint at all.
fair enough. Next show that I'll discuss, just because it's not. We'll just go into it because the next 3 are my top 3 of the season. 365 Days to the Wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I've been enjoying this show. I've been enjoying the manga. By no means is this show like a gorgeous show. It's very middling. I think I talked about it maybe
Yeah, we just talked.
last episode or so.
Yeah.
It's very middling in animation, but it's the substance is there. The characters are great. The acting's fine. Like I've been enjoying it episode week to week. So 365 Days to the Wedding. It's something that I was a little afraid of with the fact that the animation was just kind of but the content is still there and very faithful to the source material, that the story is still very good to the point where I'm going to be continuing this going forward.
Yeah.
I'd probably put this at like a number 5 or 6 on my list as to what I'm enjoying so far this season. But that's the last thing that I have to share before my top 3. So
All
I
right.
don't know if you have any more, but if you do,
I
go into
mean,
them.
the other ones that I'm trying to think of. Well, I guess I'll talk about the ones that you didn't watch. So Orb uh
Yeah.
should be on everyone's watch list. Historical anime are really hard because I feel like if you have no interest in like anime that is set in a period of time that is so far removed from our current setting that you just have no relation to it and you have no interest to it, Historical anime is challenging to get into then, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a fantasy in the sense that it's like it's olden days with bows and arrows and stuff and like medieval and things like that, but it's still a fiction at the end of the day. Orb is a fiction, but it is grounded in what was very prevalent during the time, which was the church like wiping heretics off the face of the planet, right? Like that was
Right.
just a normalcy at the time. So if that's not your shtick, it can be hard to get into. But I promise, in terms of historical anime, this is the one you should at least give a try. I was incredibly impressed by episode 1. I will say, if you're squeamish when it comes to torture stuff, be warned. There is a graphic first sequence. Nothing like pure dismemberment. Like we're not talking like Attack on Titan style or any of like your like hardcore gore, but like we'll just say fingers are involved. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Whenever you
like
get around fingers and eyeballs like that's just like it's hard to watch. It
yeah,
hurts.
yeah. So just be warned. But in terms of first episode, this one does exactly what I always hope for a new series, which is like you stick the landing, and this one stuck it at a 10 out of 10, like firmly planted in the ground. Great
Fair enough.
setup, great backstory on the characters, great just like getting viewers in the headspace of just what this time period is all about, which is like the church is everything and going outside of the norms of what the church is preaching marks you as a heretic. And what happens when you get marked as a heretic? Only
Bad
bad
thing.
things. Only bad things. Doesn't matter your age either. If the church labels you a heretic, no good. Okay? Like it does a wonderful job of just capturing what you can expect from this tale. And I think it does a really good job at the ending, leaving like the best kind of like segue into here's what's now going to we're going to go into for the remainder of the season. It's not like a cliffhanger, it's not like little breadcrumbs. It's just in your face, here's what it is, but now it's about it like expounding on it and unraveling it and
Yeah.
finding like all the mysteries about it. So, no, this is like perfection. Go watch it.
Okay.
Um
Uh
the only other one was Uzumaki. Um Rating it from the first episode to like 9 out of 10. Remaining of the episodes, I would say you just have to be a really big Junji Ito fan, really big, lover of the Uzumaki, uh, book to continue along because the animation is horrific. Like the animation takes a toll. We talked about it last episode, but basically the studio was told, hey, you can either cancel the whole thing, you can delay it and hope it gets released at some point, or you can push it along after episode 1. And they did the last option. And so episode 1 looked gorgeous. Episodes 2 and 3 have looked like absolute dog shit. Supposedly episode 4, which is the last episode, goes back to being like the standard that they
because
had.
does it go back to their I know it goes back to the
I
production company that does episode 1, but have we heard or confirmed that it goes back to the
I
actual quality?
no, I haven't heard anything. Um,
Okay.
but I mean, you can only hope. I doubt
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only other one. And then yeah, Danmachi was 10 out of 10. That was good. I gave it a 9.5 because it's definitely they set up for
It's a
it.
setup. It's a setup episode. It sets the entirety tone
Yeah,
of the season or what the next arc is going to be, but it still does a very good job at talking about what previously happened in the past season and kind of confirming things that people were hoping would happen.
that was my only like true nitpick. I mean, the other nitpick I had was that it was very jovial up until like literally the last 2 minutes, which I was like, that
Yeah.
was a quite a swing, but not in a bad way by any means. No, my only like real nitpick I would say is that they sort of gloss over the events that took place. There's a interaction between Belle and
Ryu.
Ryu that goes a little bit deeper into it, I guess. But like, there's a moment where they're at the house and they're just like nonchalant talking, like, "Wow, we barely made it out of there alive. Good thing we did. Ha ha ha." And I'm like, do you know how many people were murdered and slain down there? And we're just like brushing it off, like, "Whoo, dodged a bullet there, boys, huh? Good job,
High
everyone."
fives all
Everyone gets a
around.
slap on the ass. Group shower tonight. Let's go.
You
Like,
get a level, you get a level, you get a level.
yeah, everyone. Yeah, then Hastia turned into Oprah. It was just like, everybody levels up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like first episode, it was good for setting up. It's such a weird transition from one of the most, if not the most intense seasons of Don Machi into
Agreed.
like now we're going to like lovey-dovey land, and I'm like, oh god, gotta get my emotions and mental back in
It's
order.
festival season, baby.
Yeah, it's
Let's
festivals,
go.
so I'm like, oh god, gotta get back in the headspace of it being a lighthearted anime again. Whew.
Yeah. Um. So I'll kick us off with top threes. My number three so far for the season, other than I guess really Don Machi, because I do really like it, but I still need more in order to put it above this one. Number three, Ranma One Half. I've
Mm-hmm.
really truly enjoyed the remake of this show. I didn't know how they were going to get past all of the nudity, but it seems like they're going down the recent anime route in which they're kind of just like skirting the line of just like, hey, there's like the boobas, but
It's
there's no
it's
anything there.
Barbies, it's dolls,
Yeah,
like
it's Barbies. So
yeah,
I've really enjoyed it. I think that the voice acting, both the sub and the dub, because I've watched an episode in both, are fantastic. I think that the animation quality is great. The intro, outro songs, they're fun. Everything about this show is a delight. I think that this is a very good adaptation or remake of an original adaptation or something that's already been adapted before. So
yeah.
to me, this one gets a pass. I really wish that I had watched. You, fuck, you just said it was Yuri Matsuda, whatever
Urusei
that was
Yatsura.
on. Yeah, that was on High Dive. I feel like that this is very much in line with a good quality adaptation like that.
Yeah, I watched episode 1. I liked it. I gave it an 8 out of 10 just because it was. I think I really only liked it because it was like a nostalgia bomb to like old anime, right? Like the premise of it is interesting enough. Yes, there's a lot of like etchiness to it. You can tell it's an older anime. It is what it is.
Yeah,
But it was funny enough. Like the characters were all very eccentric, and it was still an enjoyable watch. The remakes are always to me just like a, hey, if you never had a chance to watch it, here's your chance now. And I respect it for
right.
that, but it's never something where I'm like begging for a studio to be like, oh, please, for the love of God, remake this anime. It's always just like make more of it. It's never like remake it from the start. So it was good.
Other than Soul Eater, but that's besides the point.
I mean, even that I'd rather just have new episodes than a remake. But regardless, I would. I'm gonna continue watching it. I liked it. I think I like it only because it's just like a look back at older anime.
Fair enough. Do you want to give me your number two?
Uh yeah, I mean this is like in terms of first episodes too, by the way, because like my actual order for first episodes would probably be Orb as my number 3, Don Machi as my number 2, and then my number 1 is probably our same. But the other one that I watch that I really enjoy that's up there as well as Blue Box. Um, I put in my notes when I watched it that Blue Box could likely end up being the best slice of life and sports anime of the season,
Yeah,
because Blue Lock is dropping the ball, quite
I
literally
agree.
too, with their JPEG drag and drop art style that they're using now. Um,
Yeah.
it's it is nothing new. It's not thinking outside the box, no pun intended. It is just a fun watch, and I can respect it for that. Like there's a lot of depth to the characters, there's a lot more story to build out. I know you've read all the way through and are just itching
I'm
to
completely caught up. Yeah, no,
yeah, and you're just itching to watch it, so I understand it from that respect. From someone who only read chapter 1, which covers the first episode, I thought they did a great job. I liked all of the cutesiness to the animation at times. I liked the intensity at times in very like dramatic scenes. I like that they ended on the twist. Obviously, that it happened at chapter 1. I think it's not anything new again. We've seen anime that have had this same sort of like, not
yeah,
giving away spoilers or anything, the same sort of event to take place. So it's all just a matter of like, what's going to happen? And then, you know, how are their relationships going to grow or shrink? You know, we don't know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's going to be a full watch. And it will probably end up being, again, in my mind, like the best slice of life romance. Most like we'll say romance because I think Negative Positive Angler could take slice of life, but it's going to be the best romance and sports anime for the season in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. This one is actually a much closer toss up between a number one and number two for me, but this is sitting at a number two.
Wow.
Yeah. Despite what I predicted in January. Um, yeah, this is a very close number two. Could be number one, but I thoroughly enjoyed the first episode. As you said, that this twist at the end of episode one isn't necessarily something new. We've seen it done in shows before, but I feel like everything about this show is done so well
Yeah.
in comparison to the other shows that have this same similar twist that it really drew me in. And I think that the characters were a bit more relatable in the sense because they're very much into sports. Me in high school, I was very much into sports. I was always waking up early in the morning to get to a morning practice before school started. So it was something that I could relate to, and I really just kind of fell in love with the characters, the settings, and just everything about it to the point where it took a week and I read all 163 chapters that were out, 62, something like that.
Good God.
Yeah, so it's one of those shows that I thoroughly enjoyed. I think that it's absolutely fantastic, and I'm looking forward to more. I won't say spoilers about what happens or what I'm looking forward to, but I am definitely looking forward to the rest of the season and seeing where it ends compared to where the manga is right now. But yeah, no, this show, Delight, please go watch it. It's on Netflix. And then you're in mine and everybody else's number one show of the season, something I predicted back in January, Don to Don. Dan to Dan, Don to Don, whatever you want to call it. The show's a delight. It's fun. I do need to catch up where they're at in the manga. I bought volume 9 recently. I have volume 9 physically, but this show is great. Everybody loves it. I feel like that episode 1 is so polarizing, but it's polarizing in a way that I really enjoy, and I think you and I discussed that um while it may be kind of a hornier show in the sense that like things happen in which that's a little bit fan servicey, but when we're dealing with high school kids, usually it's the kids that are horny. This is a show where the kids aren't necessarily horny, it's everybody else that is. And I feel like it's kind of a bit more not respectful because it's not. But in the sense that it's just I like the twist that it's not the teenagers that are horny this time, it's everybody else. I
I,
don't
I don't know. I don't know if that's a twist so much as it's just like
It's
it's
different.
literally the core drive for all of these entities.
Right.
It's like it's not even like that they're horny. It's just that's what they're in search of, I guess. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's not really a spoiler. Apparently, every alien in spirit wants male ding dongs. So there you go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the first episode, I it's hard to because I gave it a 10 out of 10 only because I think it does a great job, like near perfect job of just setting the stage for everything. Right, you have your characters. They show all of their strengths, all of their weaknesses. Some of them only really have weaknesses. Um, it's immediately throws you into the thick of it with, the dare between the two main characters being like, oh, one's an occult fanatic, the other one is highly involved with like spirits and is a medium and stuff. Um, so you're like, all right, cool, great, we got everything settled. Then you add in the absolute craziness and chaos that ensues at like as the episode progresses, and then realize like, oh, that's just like a normalcy for this show. Like it's just gonna be at this level the remainder
all
of
the
the
way
time.
through.
Yeah, like this isn't
Yeah.
just like like a first episode just hook in. This is like no, this is your standard, expected to be at this, potentially more too. Who knows? Um,
I do.
well, yeah,
But I won't say anything. I
but
will say the only thing I will say though is that the craziness does continue throughout, whether it be
yeah, I
it
mean, you
it,
could
it
tell.
does definitely, yeah, it goes to a different type of craziness, but it stays insane the entirety way through.
Yeah, you can tell from the very beginning, and again, that's why I gave it a 10 out of 10. The only the only troubling scene is one sequence with some aliens and our female character. It is a little, yeah, it's a little risque. Um, some people
Yeah.
decided to like make spoof videos about it, which I thought was very odd. It
Mm.
seems distasteful, but regardless, um, they, yeah, that's like the only piece to the first episode where I'm like, like that's a minus in terms of overall thoughts on it. But like the pluses heavily outweigh the minus. So it was
Yeah.
certainly a 10 out of 10. But yeah, I just Don. I think the other huge plus to it is that it's being done by Science Seru, which is slowly becoming one of my more favorite studios because they have a incredible way of capturing characters facial features and making them very animated in unique ways, like changing art style or just like how they express themselves. um you could also see that in uh keep me honest here, I'm pretty sure it was Science Zero that did this. Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin was also Science Zero.
I believe that is correct. I'll double check. I did actually just pull it. Yes, they did. I
Yeah.
just pulled up their Wikipedia page before.
Yeah, you could see it in a lot of the characters like interactions and how they express themselves there too. Like that's like a Science Seru like staple basically. So couple that with some of the like crazy intense action scenes with this like really unique art style to it and like animating sequences and stuff like that, all the choreography that went into it. Like there's very few first episodes that get as good of a rating as this one, I feel. And then couple
Yeah,
that with I don't Creepy Nuts doesn't miss on OPs. I'm just gonna say it. They don't.
they've had 3 and they're all great.
They revived a series that was effectively dead on arrival in Mashal from season one because it did not match the what everyone like thought of in like the manga, like what the anime was gonna be. They basically revived that one with a banger OP for season two. They made an incredible soundtrack for most of Call of the Night, which was like their initial jump into like
Yeah.
anime OPs and soundtracks and stuff. And then now you have the Don opening, and it's like, all right, y'all need to either slow down or you come to the US and tour because like we can't keep having top tier songs one after another. It's too much.
Yeah. If you like the OP, just because, or you like the show just because of the OP, that's fine. But I do implore that you do listen to more Creepy Nuts in general because they do have a lot of like their music library, their discography. Sorry, couldn't think of the word. Their discography is actually very good. It's
Hmm.
not necessarily the same as what they've been putting out for Mashal and for Don, but their music in general is still very solid and very fun.
Yeah.
So I do heavily say go give it a listen or go give them a listen outside of just those OPs. But yeah, no, on the point of Science Seru becoming one of your favorites, like yeah, I would agree that their quality with the past 5+ years has been absolutely insanely good. The only show I think you and I that we've watched in the past that we're just like, okay, we can see the quality being there, but it's not our favorite show was Devilman Crybaby. But other than that, you
Oh,
have like
yeah.
Keep Your Hands Off Isekin. This they did a Star Wars Vision episodes. They did Tatami Time Machine, Scott Pilgrim, Don Da Don, and then they did the movie Inuo,
Oh,
Lou Over the Wall, Ride Your Wave, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, which is phenomenal. So yeah, they're definitely they're a studio that doesn't do a ton year over year, but whenever they do something, it is fantastic.
they're
Um,
selective. They're
they're
selective, and I
correct.
yeah, I think they're not like a JC staff. They're not a Clover. They're not a Mappa. They're not gonna like churn out a bunch of series in a year. They're like 1 to 2 a year normally. Maybe in movies sprinkled in that they'll assist on or be leads on for animation. Um, I think Inuo was like the one they were like the main animation studio for. I think the other movies they
Yeah.
were probably like a side studio that helped out in areas, but yeah, I mean like their
Well,
animation quality.
the movie that I just said they were the main studios for.
Oh, they were the main for all of them.
Correct.
Dang, good for them. Yeah, I mean
But
I
yeah, I
just
mean that was from 2017 to now. But like even to put in perspective, like this year they only have Dandadan and then a movie called The Colors Within that came over the summer or came out over the summer. They don't have
oh
anything
yeah.
listed on the books for 2025, and then 2026 apparently they are doing a Ghost in the Shell adaptation.
Ooh,
So yeah,
talk about an oldie.
it's gonna be great. But yeah, no, Don to Don. If you haven't seen it for yourself, you deserve to watch it just to form your own opinion. But it's one of those shows that there's a little bit of something in there for everybody. There's a lot of comedy. There's some good action. They alluded to a little bit of romance near the end of episode 1 in the
Yeah,
sense that in a sense. So there's a little bit of literally anything and everything for everyone in the show. So
and
I do implore that you give it a watch just to form your own opinion on if you like it or not.
and there's hot grannies, so
And there's hot grannies, but we'll get to hot grannies don't happen until episode 3.
you just
So
gotta wait. Be patient,
you
boys.
gotta wait till episode 3, and then you
They're
get hot
coming.
grannies. But speaking of coming, thank you so much for coming by and
No,
watching
no.
watching our episode. What, you
God,
have more to talk about?
no, that was like the worst transition, but it's fine. Just
I
keep
thought it was
going.
great. Some may say it was a climactic transition, but you ruined it. But anyways,
I
thank you
have
all
all
for
the
joining.
buttons in front of me to stop this right now, and I'm so
Yes, but
tempted
I
to do
need to
it.
promote everything else, so we're not.
All right.
Thank you for joining. We greatly appreciate it. We are always recording on Mondays, and we release these episodes on Wednesdays on YouTube and podcast services of your choosing. We are doing more and more live streams of the podcast itself, let alone doing just live streams in general. We're trying to get more into it to promote the channel. So we'll keep an eye out for those separate live streams, but every Monday around 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, we'll be live on TikTok and Twitch. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, but if you want some shorter form content, we are on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc. You can find us there posting videos. And we will also be at YumaCon in Detroit, Michigan, the end of the month. I believe it's October 31st
Yes,
through August 2nd. So we will be at
November
the
2nd, not
convention.
August.
Sorry, I went back in time. November 2nd. We'll be there all weekend long, I believe. So you can find us there. We will be presenting panels on at least Thursday and Friday. We may have one Saturday. I'm not sure.
We
We
do.
gotta talk. We
We
do.
have one
So yeah,
Saturday.
we have panels going Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if you're not able to make one day, we will have something for you on another day. So please come join us at YumaCon, where we will be presenting different things live. But until next time, Spark Triumph. We'll see you then.